Do you need to eat carbs before the workout? If you don't eat carbs, is your workout going to suck? And if you do eat them, is your workout going to be so much better with, much more distance covered if you're doing cardio, much more weight lifted if you're lifting? What is the truth? Should you have carbs or not? That's what we're going to cover in this video. Before we go into it though, if you haven't already, subscribe and click the button below, because on this channel, you're going to learn how to build a strong, ripped, high-performing physique as an entrepreneur. What's up guys, this is Coach Amir from 7figurebody.com, and in this video, we're gonna talk about the pre-workout carbs. You probably heard this before, especially if you're doing cardio. I see it everywhere where people are either doing running or cycling. You gotta load up on carbs because exercise burns so many calories and so many carbs, especially so that you absolutely have to carb load before your sessions. Now, kind of to give you a short answer here, no, you most likely do not need any carbs before the workout. And even if you do, the amount that you need is minuscule and probably has mainly psychological, not actual physiological effect. Now, of course, just like everything else, the answer here is it depends. And there are levels of what it depends for and for whom. So we're gonna go a little bit deeper into it. So number one thing, remember, exercise burns way fewer calories than we think it does, okay? So for example, let's say we have a runner who runs 3 times a week, and every time they run, they're gonna run 3 miles. So this is, somebody who's like very devoted. They're gonna run 3 miles, and that burns roughly 300 calories, because roughly 1 mile is approximately 100 calories burned. Of course, bigger, larger, physically larger people are gonna burn a bit more, physically smaller people a bit less, but let's say on average 100 calories per mile. So let's say they run 3 miles, which is 300 calories, and they do it 3 times a week, okay? Now, that 300 calories burned from one exercise, let's say 50% of that comes from carbs, 50% comes from, fat. So only 150 calories came from actual fat. That's 40 grams of carbs, 40 grams, okay? Because 1 gram of carbohydrates is 4 calories. Now, let's assume that magically somehow, which is never gonna happen, but let's say that all of the calories that they burned, all 300 came from carbs. They were doing very, very, very high intensity, like sprinting for these 3 miles. They did like an all-out 3-mile run, and all of it came from fat. From carbs. Let's assume that's the case, right? Because when you're running, the higher your intensity, the higher percentage of the calories you burn come from carbs. The lower intensity, the high percentage comes from fats, okay? So, and by the way, if you want to know about the truth about fat burning zones in cardio, click here, because we have a video talking about how relevant fat burning zone when you're doing cardio is, to be in that fat burning zone of heart rate, okay? So let's assume this person burned 300 calories and all of them came from carbohydrates, which again, it's probably never gonna happen, but let's say it does. All 300 calories came from carbs. So if we divide 300 calories by 4, what is that? 75, I guess, right? So 75 grams of carbs. So they burned 75 grams of carbohydrates during that workout. You know how many grams of carbohydrates an average person has stored in their body? Anywhere from 400 to 600 grams of carbohydrates is going to be stored in their body already. In your muscles, there's glycogen stores, which is when you eat carbs, it's converted into something called glycogen. It's literally inside your muscles. So you have 400 to 600 grams stored in your body already, and you just burned 75 grams during that run. Do you see how irrelevant eating carbs and unnecessary eating carbs before that workout is? It's completely irrelevant. It's not gonna, you don't need it. You're probably gonna need to run hours and hours and hours and hours before you actually run out of glycogen stores in your body. So this is for cardio, by the way, that actually burns more carbs and more calories per minute compared to lifting. Lifting burns even fewer calories simply because it's not a continuous activity. When you're in the gym, you're lifting weights for 30, 40 seconds per set, maybe a minute, probably not, but let's say a minute, and then you rest for usually 2 minutes. So in 1 hour in the gym, you may get 20 minutes of actual work. And how many calories you burn per minute of actual work in the gym? We now know that it's about 0.1 calories per minute per kilo body weight, something like that. So it basically comes out to, if you are a 100 kilo person, which is 220 pounds, you burn like 10 calories. Okay, if you are a 60 kilo person, which is, 130 pounds, you burn 6 calories. So let's say I am 220, 100 kilos, right? So I burn 10 calories per minute of exercise in the gym. If I'm working out really hard and I do 20 minutes or 25 minutes of actual lifting while I'm there, that means I burn 250 calories during one lifting workout. 250 calories is like, 60 grams of carbs. That's nothing. Why do you need to like load up on carbs before actually going and doing that workout? So physiologically, you absolutely do not need any carbs before your workouts, unless, of course, there is one exception. If somebody's doing a multi-hour, especially high-intensity cardio session. In that case, you're probably going to need carbs during the session, and like carb loading before that is not really that effective. Yes, in endurance sports we've been doing it forever, and it may give you a little bit of assistance, but still you're going to run out of them if you're doing 6 hours, or what I used to do is like 12-hour mountain bike races. Yeah, of course, if I'm burning 600 to 800 calories per hour, and I do, I don't know, 12 hours, of course, somewhere like in the first third of that, I'm probably going to run out of carbs that are in my body. So you have to keep eating them in order to keep going, sure. But this is really not relevant for a majority of people, because most people out there are not doing 12-hour, endurance events. So for regular, exercising that's less than an hour long, you really don't need carbs physiologically at all. The other part of that I kind of hinted toward is psychological effect. Because it is real. We know that even if it's placebo, it can actually help you do better. If you believe something's going to help you, it may. So if somebody says, hey, when I eat some carbs before the workout, I go there and I feel great. I'm like, yeah, I want to kick ass, and I lift more weights than I would if I didn't have carbs. In that case, sure. But you should know that this is really like 99.9999% of this is going to be psychological. It's in your mind. And again, I'm not dismissing that. As I said, placebo can be really real. Like you believe, we know that in one study they gave bodybuilders pills of, I don't know what it was, like a vitamin C or something, and told them they are on steroids. Every single one of them lifted 10 to 30% more than they normally did, because they believe they're on steroids, even if they weren't, right? That's how much placebo can actually work and be effective. Meaning if you actually do lift more weights just because you believe you're on steroids, more training volume at the same intensity is going to produce more muscle very likely. So this is kind of the story of whether you need pre-workout carbs. Most likely the answer is no, unless one exception, somebody's doing a multi-hour event, especially high intensity multi-hour events, for example, like racing. Somebody's racing, running or biking or swimming, something that's really high intensity and for multiple hours, usually longer than 1.5 to 2 hours or longer, then sure. But generally speaking, unless that is the case, for everybody who's working out, hour or less, you really don't need any pre-workout carbs. So I hope this helps. Hope you liked this video. If you did, please click the like button below and also click that notification bell. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel, because in this channel, every Friday and Sunday, we're going to come up with new videos showing you how to lose weight and get in the best shape of your life ever, so you can actually have an awesome looking, high performing, healthy body that goes along with your business success as an entrepreneur. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.